Well, good morning. It's great to see everyone out here today. Very much looking forward to the announcement. We have 4 speakers coming up and a short Q&A after that. First speaker will be Minister Grant Hunter, Minister of Environment and Protected Areas. Then Kelly Ogle, Board Chair of Emissions Reduction Alberta, followed by Philip Avery, CEO of Taurus Canada Renewable Natural Gas Corp. And then to end will be Ryan Casco, CEO of Casco Cattle Company. There is an order of queue, and there is questions at the end that will be directed by the Minister's press secretary. So we'll take those questions at the end. Minister Hunter.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'll move that down a little shorter than the Minister. So I want to first of all thank you for coming out to Casco Cattle Casco Cattle and Ryan for hosting us here today. Appreciate that. But before we start, I just wanted to take a moment to send my heartfelt prayers and condolences to the victims of the tragic events in Tumbler Ridge, BC, as well as their families and their friends as they grieve this immense loss. My thoughts are with everyone affected by this devastating tragedy. Alberta and the whole of Canada stands with you. Now, we're here today to announce new funding that will help us produce more energy with fewer environmental impacts. As Alberta's Environment Minister, I am pro-energy and pro-common sense. I apologize. I know someone's going to need that. Now, for years, we heard people like Justin Trudeau and Stephen Guilbeault say that Alberta can't have a strong energy sector. They said we need to just transition away from it, and that there was no business case for more exports. They said that the only way to protect the environment was to cap production and overregulate us, shut us in and shut us down. They also said global energy demand was on the decline, but they were dead wrong. Despite all the rhetoric and attacks of the last few years, our energy sector is growing and thriving. Global demand for Alberta's energy and resources continues to increase every day, all while emissions in Alberta are declining and production grows. Alberta energy and resources are at the forefront of our nation's success story today, especially during uncertain times. We have the workforce, the talent, the expertise to make our province and our country an energy superpower and secure lasting prosperity for not just Albertans, but for all Canadians as well. This all thanks to Alberta's common sense approach to protect our environment while growing the economy and creating jobs, not choosing one or the other. We could do it all here in Alberta, and nobody does it better than Alberta companies. Demand for Alberta's responsibly produced oil and gas is growing. Countries from around the world are looking to us for the safe, affordable, reliable energy people and communities need and rely on. Requests are coming in from Japan, Korea, India, and across Europe. The world needs energy, and nobody produces it more responsibly than Alberta does. Our government is proud of the innovators and risk takers in our energy sector who continue to overcome every challenge thrown their way. And this brings Alberta's energy potential to new heights. We are leaders in oil and gas, sure, but we are also leaders in carbon capture, methane reduction, biofuels, and a whole lot more. Engineers, farmers, and researchers are constantly coming up with new and better ways to do things. Every day, Alberta operators are pushing for ways to produce more energy at lower costs and as responsibly as possible. But innovation isn't always cheap or easy. Anyone who has tried to scale a great idea knows all too well that upfront costs are high, payback can be long, and new technology isn't always commercially ready when you need it. Plus, with tariffs, shifting markets, and rising costs on companies' bottom lines, it's even harder to compete these days. But Albertans don't back down from a challenge, and neither do we. That's why I'm announcing $28 million for new energy projects across Alberta. These projects will help companies save money to help them operate more efficiently while reducing environmental impacts. Using the industry-led TIER program and delivering through Emissions Reductions Alberta, we are funding 6 great projects across the energy sector. Projects like the one that Casco Cattle and Taurus RNG are building right here in Coaldale. Casco is well known in these parts. This family-owned business started in 1979 and now supports dozens of local jobs while managing a standing capacity of 45,000 head of cattle. Now they're branching into energy. This funding will help build a brand new facility that turns agricultural byproducts into renewable natural gas, literally turning waste into energy. And they'll pair it with carbon capture to reduce emissions along the way. That's just one example. This funding will also test a new technology never used in Canada before to make pipelines safer and more secure. It will test ways to help companies get more energy out of existing wells and clean up sites faster when they're done. It will push carbon capture forward in real industrial settings and develop new technologies to keep reducing methane emissions. All of this is good for the energy sector. All of this is good for Alberta, the economy, and the environment. We're investing in Alberta's energy sector because Canada and the world need it. And we're investing in Albertans because that is what works. Albertans see an opportunity and they roll up their sleeves and they get to work. It's the get-her-done attitude that we've seen so many times in Alberta. Albertans are natural innovators and entrepreneurs. They are the greatest resource. They are our greatest resources, and we will continue to bet on them. Thank you again to Casco Cattle for hosting us. I'll now pass over things to Kelly Ogle from Emissions Alberta to tell us more.
Thanks, Minister Hunter, and congratulations on your new portfolio and your first official announcement as Minister of Environment and Protected Areas. On behalf of everyone at Emissions Reduction Alberta, I'd like to express how much we look forward to working with you and the department. As Minister Neudorf said, my name is Kelly Ogle. I'm the Board Chair of Emissions Reduction Alberta, and I'm very pleased to be here today to help roll out this announcement. Outside of the ERA, I'm the former CEO and remain a director of the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, a Calgary and Ottawa-based think tank and research institute that navigates issues shaping Canada's global presence. I'm also the vice chair of the Calgary Police Commission, so as you can imagine, I spend a lot of time thinking about global energy security in general, and other geopolitical issues. And I'll just ad lib a little bit here. Ag is becoming very much a part of global energy and security issues, as you can see with as Prime Minister Carney backpedals on our relationship with China. I'll just leave it there. I've had a long history in the energy sector, 45 years in the oil and gas business and agriculture. I still own a small ranch in Saskatchewan where I summer graze 50 pure-bred Aberdeen Angus pairs. It better rain or snow a bit, or there will be a short grazing period for me. But what I like to say about that is I think I'm the epitome of big hat, no cattle. I care deeply about the province of Alberta. I've lived here for 44 years. I'm an Albertan. And the folks who live and work here, as Minister Hunter said, ensuring that Alberta remains competitive, responsible, and globally relevant is here for us to do, and the young people that work in all these industries carrying forward. I'd also like to thank Philip Abry, CEO of Taurus Canada, and Ryan Casco of Casco Cattle for hosting us here today. And let me congratulate you on receiving this funding to help advance and scale your project right here in Coaldale. Why am I so nervous? I'm from a rural background. Like, I shouldn't be nervous working here in Coaldale. Thanks so much for your hard work and commitment, Philip. We are today announcing a significant, investment in Alberta's future. Through the ERA's Industrial Transformation Challenge, Alberta is investing $28 million in 6 projects. More importantly, that will connote to over $170 million of total spend. Projects are located in Calgary, here in Coaldale, Edmonton, Suffield, and Yellowhead and Leduc counties, reflecting a real diversity and strength of homegrown innovation across the province. Here in Coaldale, the team at Central Farms is demonstrating how agricultural byproducts can be used more effectively by transforming materials that would otherwise be discarded into valuable new resources. At the resource recovery level, an ERA investment of $1.5 million will help Senior Green improve enhanced oil recovery while supporting permanent CO2 storage. In agriculture, Ruminant Biotech will receive $2.8 million in ERA funding to address methane emissions from livestock, an issue that matters to producers and communities across the province. On the infrastructure side, total containment, as mentioned by the Minister, is strengthening and safeguarding the reliability for future CO2 pipeline systems with $625,000 from the TIER fund. Meanwhile, a $12 million ERA investment will help Tourmaline Oil test carbon capture systems at an operational gas plant and better understand how we can scale these projects. Finally, through an applied research grant of $750,000 from ERA, will help the University of Calgary develop new approaches to clean up inactive oil and gas sites. The Minister and I had a discussion for a minute about that prior to today. I also want to say, we have many more projects from this year's Industrial Transformation Challenge to announce in the coming months, so stay tuned. As an annual call, the Industrial Transformation Challenge sends a clear signal that Alberta is serious about building a competitive, lower emission energy system, one that supports good jobs and long-term prosperity right here at home. If successful, and not all projects are successful, that's what ERA does. If you're going to fail, fail fast and come back and we'll try it again. If successful, the projects announced today are expected to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by, wait for it, 72,000 tons each year, more than 1.6 million metric tons by 2050. Along the way, these investments are expected to support more than 1,000 person-year jobs across Alberta and contribute over $166 million to the province's GDP by 2027. This is what industrial transformation looks like in practice. It is companies, researchers, and innovators solving real problems in the field. It's exactly the kind of work we do here to recognize, that we're here today to recognize and support. We thank our partners in government, industry, for their continued collaboration and their confidence in Alberta's capacity to lead, complete, and deliver results. Your leadership, commitment, and willingness to work together are what makes progress like this possible. Thank you, and congratulations to everyone involved today. Let's listen to Philip.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm very pleased to be standing here today, not far from the future site of Taurus RNG and Casco Cattle's integrated anaerobic digestion and carbon sequestration facility. This will be the world's first facility of its kind, not only producing renewable natural gas, made exclusively from livestock manure, but also sequestering CO2 right here on site. So on behalf of our entire team at Taurus and Casco and KCL Cattle, I want to thank the Alberta government, the Honorable Grant Hunter, and Emissions Reductions Alberta, Kelly Ogle, for your leadership and forward-thinking approach to innovation. We are incredibly honored to receive this funding through the Government of Alberta's Technology, Innovation, and Emissions Reduction Program. This funding, with the capital commitment already made by Taurus to this project, will propel us forward with the project in partnership with our partners of Casco Cattle and KCL Cattle Company. We will be breaking ground this year, and we look forward to bringing this facility online by the end of 2027. This all began about 4 years ago, so this didn't just happen overnight. We came here 4 years ago learning about how cattle feedlot operations work, how the farming operations attached to those feedlot operations operate. And we learned more about cattle manure than you can imagine. For almost a full year, the team at Casco and other feedlots meticulously collected manure samples weekly, put them in buckets and send them to our pilot facility for testing and analysis. And I'll admit, a few times we were so anxious, so some of the manure may have come in back to our lab in our carry-on luggage, but the airlines didn't seem to mind. Anyways, we took lots of samples, lots of collaboration, lots of work, and really developed a process that was not only designed to create renewable energy, but designed to integrate seamlessly with the farming and operations of cattle, feedlot operations, such as Casco's here. And that's really the unique solution that we had to develop here so that it would be sustainable and fit right into what we're trying to work with. And we had to also take into consideration scarce resources such as water, so that we had to be efficient so that we don't come in and disrupt other cycles and other needs in the community. So the result of all of this hard work is a facility that will be processing 130,000 tons of cattle manure each year to produce 360,000 gigajoules of renewable natural gas. And to most of you, that probably means not much, but that powers 4,000 households of energy. So it's a lot of energy, and plus, we'll be capturing and sequestering 15,000 tons of CO2 every year below ground. So, in summary, I'm very proud to be here. This is really a great example of collaboration between government, industry, ag, and really working together to create more sustainable agricultural practices, energy sustainability, and really economic activity in a rural community. So it's a win-win for everyone, we hope. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Ryan Casco, our business partner and our host for this event.
Thanks, Philip, and good morning, everyone. I was told I had 2 minutes to talk about the history of Casco cattle and the future, so I want to start in 1914. At that time, the Canadian Pacific Railway decided to create the central farm of the Van Horn colony. And it was to be a model farm to teach soldiers returning from World War I and new settlers in Alberta, particularly a large number of Mennonite settlers, to come to Coaldale, and they were going to teach them the most modern farming practices of the time. They dug a dirt ditch for irrigation and brought in Aberdeen Angus cattle and Herefords and Shorthorns and pigs, and many farmers over the years came and learned the basics of farming. So this site that I'm talking about is the site of our Central Farms biogas digester. I think it's very appropriate because the spirit of entrepreneurialism back in 110 years ago, the innovative techniques that they learned over that time about irrigation and cattle and crop farming, translated down the road where the Rogers Sugar Factory purchased that land in 1945 and did a lot of research on sugar beets. My family has owned that land for 25 years now, and we have invested in low-pressure irrigation pivots. A new buried irrigation pipeline has gone through the land. We use GPS and drones and all kinds of new technology today in how we farm. And I think it's for the future of what we're trying to do as Casco cattle. This is a perfect complement in that we want to be able to produce more food with less resources, lower our environmental impact, and create great partnerships for our community and all of Alberta. So we're really excited to work with the professionals at Taurus Energy. It's been a great learning experience for me and my team to work with them. And I want to thank the Alberta government, Minister Hunter and his department, Minister Neudorf for his support, and Emissions Reduction Alberta for this grant. We're really excited to go forward on this and and I hope we have lots to celebrate with you in the future.
So that's the formal presentation. I'll hand it over to Minister Hunter's press secretary for question and answer.
Thank you, Minister. We're going to start in the room before going to the phones. The mic is just right over here, and it's one question, one follow-up.
Eli Ritter, CBC. My question goes out to any of you actually to answer, but do you think projects like this create more resiliency for sort of traditional agriculture, and is it something that you'd want to replicate across the province in different places?
Well, maybe I'll start here, and maybe then we'll turn it over to ERA. But look, one of the nice things about this program is that it helps with the commercialization of projects. And as you know, when you start something, there's all sorts of variables that can knock you off, and often do. And so this is a collaboration, a partnership between government and industry to show or proof point some of those technologies. And I would say historically, farmers have always been the quintessential entrepreneurs, but they're quintessential risk takers as well. And so what they do is they take a look at how we can use less resources, as Ryan said. And they figure out how to be able to produce more using less. But again, that technology is not easy to be able to commercialize. And so Alberta's government, especially within my department, see the value of that, and we work alongside with ERA to be able to make that happen. Now, remember that challenge that we do, the industrial transformation challenge that we're doing, started out in 2022, and now every year we've seen it so successful that we're actually using that as the way to be able to innovate our way out of problems. And that's what we do very well in Alberta. But maybe I'll turn it over to you, Kelly.
I don't have a lot to add. The minister covered it. I think that the beauty of what ERA does is it takes that risk taker and gives them an opportunity where they would never be able to do it in conventional finance unless they provide their own money. And I'll remind folks that we do have lots of projects that don't make it. But if you didn't have the opportunity to try it, or if you didn't have ERA, operations like ERA, Invest Alberta, et cetera, you wouldn't be able to try it. And lots of our projects, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, they've come back again and failed once and maybe succeeded in a second time. So I would absolutely say yes to the resiliency. And remember that this is across the province, rural, urban, lots of things I could talk about working on home heating, electricity in the grid in other ways. Everything is on the table at ERA. Bring us an idea, we'll vet it and rigorously scrub it down and see if it works and give you a shot at having a go at it. Because if you don't, that entrepreneur is going to get hamstrung. I don't know that I could be any more specific with yes. Follow up?
Yeah, if I can. And maybe if Casco wants to answer that same question, just the resiliency, Casco Cattle, just about, you started decades ago, this is the next step, a new generation. Maybe if you want to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I think that producing food is producing energy, and so this is just an evolution of what we're creating here. And I think with the funding that the government has added to this project, this is not without risk. There is a tremendous amount of risk yet. I'm sure we're going to learn some things, and we might even be arguing with each other over the next few years at times about what we're doing. But I think this will help us get through some of those challenges. And I think for other cattle feeding operations and other livestock operations in southern Alberta and abroad, that what we do here will be able to translate. And I think there's excitement that this is just one of many, and it could be a transformation for southern Alberta agriculture for sure.
Okay. And a separate follow-up question, if that's okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Just trying to do the quick math, the amount of natural gas that will go into the system or the grid, is that enough to provide for, let's say, Coaldale, for example? Like if I'm a Coaldale resident, I'm seeing this project, is that enough to supply for the entire town, or how does that work? Maybe if you'd be able to speak to that.
Well, we actually have the mayor of Coaldale here. How many homes do we have here, Mayor? Just under 4,000. So that would actually facilitate the needs for Coaldale going forward. It's not inconsequential for sure.
We'll go to the next question if there's any more questions in the room. Awesome.
Yeah, Justin Sibbett with Global News. Question for you, Minister. Why was it important to maybe do this down here to start with this pilot in southern Alberta in the agri-food corridor?
Well, it's close to my place, so just kidding. Yeah, save on fuel. That's right. Yeah, I don't have to jet set all over the place. Well, first of all, look, you talked about the agri-food processing corridor. You know there's a lot of stuff going on down here. This is, in my opinion, this is going to be some of the most sought-after real estate in Alberta. What is happening and been happening here for a while is truly remarkable. We just had in Coaldale, New Cold, a food logistics center just opened up in New Cold, 220 million? 230 million, I apologize. $230 million food logistics center was opened up. And this is the place where you're going to see that kind of expansion. Because we have the heat units here, we have the irrigation, we've got everything kind of aligning to make this place an agri-food processing, really Canada's premier food corridor. We do row crops really well here, and that's what we'll continue to do here. So that's one of the reasons why it's here, but also Casco farms have done an amazing job. I've known Ryan for many years. I've been the MLA down here for 11 years, and they've always been innovative here. And so, you know, it was nice that he got this from ERA, and I thought this would be an appropriate place for us to be able to kind of just showcase the innovation that's happening, not just in the oil and gas, because lots of people say that's where the tier money is always going to, but it isn't. It's going into electricity, it's going into biofuels, it's going into farming practices, it's going into everything we can do to be able to reduce those GHG emissions.
Follow-up for you, sir. Just how important is this, or how exciting is it maybe to be able to showcase as a local businessman what Southern Alberta can really do for the entire world?
For sure, it's exciting. You know, today is an exciting day. In part, I think we're going to take a tour for some of the guests here today to our farm, and we try to be on the leading edge, not necessarily the very front runners. I like to copy the smart people, but we want to showcase all of the things that we do when we raise food. In fact, our office and new site that we built here, we're looking forward to having a community garden here and a community kitchen one day to celebrate food production in Southern Alberta. And this project ties in exactly with our purpose as a company at Casco Cattle, is to grow food better and enrich the lives of the people around us. So that's why we want to be a part of it, and we want to have really strong partners like Taurus and KCL Cattle Company, the other farm that is participating in it.
Landon Hickok for British News. I may also ask you, Mr. Grant, if that's all right. Just in reference to this project in Coaldale, out of the $28 million, can you tell us how much of that is going to this project and how many jobs it'll create here?
Well, there's going to be a couple of hundred jobs that will be created from this for sure, but actually it's probably more of a Kelly question on this one. But overall, the 28 million is going to probably create 1,000 jobs, over 1,000 jobs. In this area here with Casco Cattle, most of the work they're doing here is to kind of point out what they're going to be able to provide for the world. And I want to kind of go back to what Global asked, and that is, you know, how will this affect the global, you know, globally, what will this do? Whenever you reduce methane, it's 20 times more powerful than reducing carbon. Think about that. And so the efforts that we've seen in Alberta just alone, reducing methane reduction in Alberta by 51% is has had more of an effect. But that's just what we've done here in Alberta. That same technology that we proof point out here in Alberta goes out to the world, and they do the same thing out in other areas. So it's hard to quantify what the value is there, but that is substantial.
Great. And I guess my follow-up, and I guess on that note, when you guys were announcing this technology of burning manure to create natural gas out of it, was that out of inspiration from any other outside sources, maybe across the world, that you guys are able to say that?
Well, actually, Ryan, maybe you could talk about this.
Yeah. I suppose this is the first kind of in the nation or the world?
This is the first of its kind.
Of its kind.
That's correct.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, first of its kind. Maybe you could talk about some of the inspiration that brought you to this point?
I mean, I can give you a little bit of context. Yeah, I mean, making gas from manure is not necessarily novel. Making it from cattle manure is extremely novel. That's not been done. And we have a high concentration of cattle operations in this region, so it makes a great deal of sense to make that happen. And then being able to further take the CO2 from that and sequester it is a very unique aspect. No facility such as this has ever done this anywhere in the world. So this will be unique, and Alberta has some unique qualities, a unique geology, unique gas infrastructure, so that's why these projects make a great deal of sense here.
I think if you just humor me for a second, I'll speak to both questions. The ask from Central Farms is $10 million. The project is $70 million. That reflects ERA in a nutshell. Since 2007, when ERA was created, we've invested about $1 billion with a 7-time multiplier in the province. $7 billion has been put into the Alberta economy because of the billion that was invested by ERA to risk takers. Speaking to the first question, one of the reasons we're here is because of scale. In the innovation space, we work with what's called technology readiness level. So ERA funds projects that are in the 9 to 12 range of technology readiness, meaning they're just about ready for commercialization. These guys wouldn't be doing this if they weren't going to hopefully make an EBITDA shortly. So that's the purpose of ERA, is to be in that space, which is sometimes a vacuum between entrepreneurial inventors and commercialization. So does that help answer your question about, there's scale here, 45. Ryan, how many million cattle in the corridor?
Around 600,000 in Southern Alberta.
It's a lot. So, and that's a lot of steaks. And others. Ryan, did you want to talk a little bit, you and I were talking about, when I talk about globalization, you were talking about, I'm not one to compliment the Liberal government of Canada very often, but Ryan's shipping beef to China. Did you want to speak a little bit? We're off grid here a little bit. I think it's a bit of an understanding of scale and entrepreneurship and ability to better utilize the whole product.
Well, I think in general, Canada is an excellent producer of food, and we export a lot of the product that we grow. In the beef industry specifically, we export nearly 50% of what we produce, and we want to have access to lots of markets and be able to tell a good story about the beef that we're producing. And when we're dealing with a public that has concerns about climate impacts and even just the impact of raising meat today, we want to use all the tools that we have to be leaders in the world and make people feel good about buying Canadian beef. And so when there's new markets that are opening up, like we have had recently to China, and that's exciting stuff, but we want to be able to show off what we're doing here and bring people from around the world to Southern Alberta and celebrate the good work that's being done.
Thank you.
Quinn Keenan, CTV News. Couple questions for you, Minister Hunter. With the province committed to continuing to be a leading energy producer, energy exporter. I guess just maybe you can touch on the importance of projects like these to help reduce emissions, as well as additional carbon capture technologies, just to offset some of these byproducts of this industry.
Yeah, look, as you know, we have an MOU with the federal government. We're going to build a pipeline to the West Coast. We're going to double production of oil in this province by 2035. So we need to make sure that we do it the most ethically and environmentally friendly as we can. And we have been for a long time. Most people that I talk to recognize that we do both, that we are great at being the economic engine of Canada. As you know, we just had 41,000 people come to Alberta when the rest of the country showed a decline in jobs. I think that's the Alberta advantage. That's really what we do well here. We have the most stringent environmental standards so that the world says, hey, we can trust that you guys are doing it ethically and environmentally friendly. And at the end of the day, we still have lots of jobs that we create. People need houses, they need homes, they need to be able to feed their families. And so we do that extremely well. And that's what I think these types of projects are doing, is they're showcasing the technology, the get-her-done attitude that we have, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll be partners as the government of Alberta for as long as we can.
And a bit of an off-topic follow-up, the Alberta Republicans recently releasing a list of MLAs they claim are in support of Alberta's separation, which listed you amongst others. So just, are you in favor of Alberta independence from Canada, and have you signed the petition in favor of a referendum on the topic?
Yeah, I saw that. I was surprised at that. I don't even know if I've ever talked to someone from the Republican Party of Alberta. So I am a proud United Conservative Party member. I am a member of cabinet. I will continue to work for Albertans, and Alberta is a member of Canada in good standing, and we will continue to be a member of good standing in Alberta or Canada. I'll say to you what I've said for many times, which is I believe in a strong sovereign Alberta within a united Canada.
Thank you.
Any more questions in the room?
Come on up here.
Thank you. Chris Perry, I'll put my Canadian Biogas Association chairman hat on for this. But first of all, congratulations to Taurus, to Ryan. Thanks ERA for supporting this industry, and absolutely congratulations, Minister Hunter, on your new role. Fantastic. And infrastructure. So what I want to just say is, from an association perspective, there's such potential in this industry of biogas. So across Canada, we've only tapped about 14%. Alberta has the vast majority, I would suggest, with livestock manure and exactly what's happening here to expand that opportunity. This biogas is an absolute complement to our food corridor, our food industry, on making that better. It's also a tremendous complement to the oil and gas industry on decarbonizing natural gas, which is feeding into the LNG scenario that we have going on globally. So I would say, I would encourage and maybe ask for a response. Sorry, I'm getting nervous too here, Kelly. I don't know what's happening. Usually not. But getting this biogas opportunity to market, I think one of the big ones is globally. Stuff like the International Marine Organization, Net Zero Framework, and we have the British Columbia government right now sort of saying renewable gas we aren't cross-bordering. So federally, this interprovincial border thing is a challenge for an industry like this to get to market. So it's sort of that pipeline. It's a pipeline for beef and all the commodities that we're producing out of here to export. So I'd just say, are you working with the British Columbia government on some of the infrastructure pieces on pipelines, including LNG to that, but bio-LNG, which is biogas, into getting it to the ports for incredible opportunity. And if we can do that now, we aren't riding on the backs of sort of taxpayers across the country to help with this stuff. We're exporting to a market that's going to happen with or without us. So I don't know if it's on the radar, but I think it's an incredible opportunity. And mostly I just wanted to say congratulations. This is a phenomenal event, and congratulations to everybody.
Well, maybe I'll start with that and then turn it over to my friend, Minister Neudorf. Well, first of all, most things in a free society, a laissez-faire society, are based on supply and demand. So the demand starts, the need for the supply. Sometimes if you don't have that supply, you've got to innovate it. And so we're starting to see that now. Biogas isn't new. I mean, it's been around for a long time. But certainly I would say that that is starting to be more of an appetite by people or different organizations and countries throughout the world. Being able to get product to Tidewater has been the express goal of our Premier. She has been very clear on what our goal is. We want to be able to get pipelines going north, south, east, and west. That's the way we're a landlocked province. It's the only way we're going to be able to get it there. I guess we could take it through train, but it's extremely expensive and it's not safe. So we want to be able to have those pipelines, but maybe I'll turn it over to Minister Neudorf for some more comments.
Thanks, Minister Hunter, and thank you for the question. Great question. So yes, not only is it on our government's radar to work with collaborating municipalities and provinces, particularly BC, we are actively engaged in those conversations. It is, I think we're all well aware, BC had some thoughts on our MOU with the federal government, but we are working very closely with them through Minister Hunter's ministry, my ministry, other ministries, to make sure that we do what we all want to do, which is build a stronger Canada. It doesn't have to be a win-lose scenario, it can be a win-win scenario. And that is why we're talking about, we sometimes have slightly differing needs for our economies, for the people that we represent and serve, but we can find a win-win, and that's what we're actively engaged on, to say that in working collaboratively, working together, solving the challenges that face us, we as provinces benefit, which means Canada benefits, which means the globe can benefit from the innovation and work here, which is why the Tier Fund was set up and why our government continues to fulfill that, and why we've got active and engaged partners like ERA and private industry. So all of those things are leading in great directions, and sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle of other geopolitical news, but this is a very strong, exciting win opportunity, not only for Alberta, but for Canada.
Thank you, Minister. That's all the time we have today. Thank you, everyone. There will be a site tour coming up soon. Thank you.